Welcome back. We're done with the first month now of the last speech. And now it's time to move on to chapter 9. Let's take a look at chapter 9 and see. There we go. Now I remember where we're at. Out in the forest the orange tree grows, way in the back nobody knows. The fruit it grows is magical indeed. Just one bite will put you to sleep. Welcome back. This is an Orange Tree video production called Bedtime Stories with Jared. Here you will hear stories read in a whisper to induce relaxation, sleep, and ASMR tingles. Please make sure that your headphones are plugged in and over each ear before you begin. Let's get started. Chapter 9 is called Credit Cards and Text Messages. Since it's been a while since we've looked at the characters, let's take a look at where we are first. So here's a little recap. At the end of chapter 8, we were talking to Norman Shooter in the green room, and he had received a invitation. But prior to him going to the green room, he had given a speech. Now Burton was sitting in the audience, and at the end of that chapter, he was very excited to buy either Norman's book or his coaching opportunity. And we saw Burton running to the back of the room, but we don't really know what happened after that. So, chapter 9 will follow Burton's story. And it starts off with privacy is a thing of the past. Privacy is a thing of the past. It used to be that a man could spend money in one part of the world, and his wife in another part of the world would not know about it. Now is a different time. Not only does the man know about the money that he spends, but so does the computer that registers the card, the server that checks the man's credit limit, and the late-night bank manager in India who reviews the denied transaction that would have put the man $20,000 over his limit. Just in case the computer made a mistake, or in the case that the man warrants a credit increase. Then, of course, there's the risk analyst in Mumbai who tells the bank manager that this particular spend request is being made by a man who is 65.2% likely to take on a second job to make the payments, and 97.8% likely to miss at least one payment in the next 6 months. At least if the credit increase is permitted, that is. The bank manager must make the obvious decision to deny the automatically generated fund increase request. And that should be the end of this story. The story should end in that bank manager's office. It should be enough that the man who wanted to use the card to spend the money could not use it. It should be enough that no money is spent at all. It should be enough, and since he does not spend any money, perhaps no one else needs to know about it. And the failed transaction could remain between the man, the clerk, the processing server, the merchant machine, and the bank manager. It should be enough. However, that is not enough, because now the bank must notify the man that an attempt has been made to go past his limit. So the bank sends him a text message to every phone on his account. It sends a text message to his cell phone. The bank also sends a text message to his wife's cell phone, whose number is on the list of authorized contact numbers. The bank sends an email too, just in case the text message did not get through. And if that's not enough, it will leave an automated voicemail. And in 4 to 7 business days, the bank will even send a letter. Privacy is a thing of the past. On this particular evening, the man's wife was reviewing a stack of travel expenses that she and her husband could not afford. While she is reviewing the pile of bills and paperwork and wondering exactly how it is that they will escape this hole of debt that her husband has sunk them into, it is at that moment that the cell phone rings with a text message. The bank wants to inform her that an attempt has been made to charge $20,000. The charge has been declined because the limit on the account has been reached. Martha was past any point of emotional reaction. At this point, she almost expects it. She expects that her husband of 8 years would try, once again, to ruin them by purchasing yet another program that neither of them could afford. It was as though she was able to foresee the text message while she was on the phone with her husband yesterday. Before he spent the money, before he went to the first session of the day, before he had maxed out the card on books and tapes and compact discs in the morning hours, Martha picks up the phone and calls a friend. Sam, this is Martha. Martha speaks into her cell phone, which is wrapped in a case that Martha purchased to keep herself thinking positively. The back of the case reads, "Things can only get better, and today is full of promise of things to come." The positive thought is surrounded by flower petals and cartoon panda bears that almost always make Martha smile. Can I come over for a drink? I really need to take a load off my mind tonight. Samantha Roberts Levinson has been Martha's best friend through all 8 years of this dreadful marriage. She has known Martha since grammar school. She was the maid of honor at Martha's wedding, and she was present when Martha saw how much her husband had spent at the very first conference that he attended. She remembers the shock and the worry that overtook her best friend, and she would, again, tonight, make herself available to show Martha the support that Martha doesn't get from her husband. Martha could not hear the radio over her very loud thoughts on the drive to Sam's apartment outside the city. An onlooker might describe Martha as brooding, and he or she would be correct. Martha thinks about it again and again, and the more she thinks about it, the more upset she becomes. She is brooding so loudly that it affects her vision too. Martha does not see the stoplight, and she drives through it. She does not see the cop, who watches her speed away in the Toyota Camry, and she does not see the cop's flashing lights when he pulls his vehicle behind hers. When the cop pulls her over, she does not really hear anything that he says, and had she not been brooding, she might show the cop some courtesy, and the cop might let her off with a warning. But on this night, Martha does not show the cop any courtesy, and as a result, the cop gives Martha tickets for violating the law by passing through a controlled intersection illegally and exceeding the speed limit by 15 miles per hour. All that Martha will understand from this exchange is that she and her husband now owe the city another $450 that neither of them has. Martha arrives to Samantha's apartment a little later than she expected. "Pour me a stiff drink, Sam." Martha slams the apartment door behind her and walks to the dining table, where she and Sam usually hash it out. Martha stops Samantha from pouring any soda into the glass. "No, Sam, no mixers tonight. I want to taste the burn." Sam puts the soda bottle back into the refrigerator. What has he done this time? She gathers the two glasses together, which still have a sticker on them that show that she purchased the glassware at Walmart, because Sam feels that the stickers make the glasses look fancy. She fills them with ice and 2 straight pours of tequila sober. Can you believe it? Martha stammers. He just tried to ruin us again. Martha proceeds to tell Sam about the stack of bills. Sam is well aware of this problem. Martha then tells Sam about the conference, and the fight, and the promise that her darling husband had made not to sign up for any more SHIT, and not to spend any money on this program or that program. And Sam has heard all of this before as well. Martha then tells Sam about the proverbial straw, the one that breaks the camel's back. Martha tells Sam about the text message and the $20,000. I can't believe it, Sam exclaims. He couldn't possibly. Did someone steal his credit card? Sam tries her best to look for any reasonable explanation. Yes, that must be it, Martha. I bet those conferences are thick with thieves, and someone stole his credit card. Have you talked to him yet? Martha was at a loss. Earlier, when she received the text message, she had wanted to cry. But the tears did not come. She was too angry. But here, in the comfort of Samantha's home, the tears come all at once. The dam has broken. Martha cannot be mad anymore. She's too mad to be mad. She's just overflowing with an overwhelming sorrow. Sobbing, she squeaks out between breaths, I just don't know what to do anymore. She gasps for breath. If I divorce him, I'll still never get out of this debt that he sunk us into. She gasps again. I could work for 200 years and never pay this back. Hell, Martha jokes, even his life insurance policy would only pay for half of the debt. The funny thing about jokes is that they're not always funny. Sometimes a joke is simply a way for the human brain to test an idea. The joke is a way to see how it sounds out loud. The funny thing is, to Martha, saying it out loud, it doesn't seem so awful. Sam, Martha says her name sheepishly. Would you think me an awful person if I killed my husband? It's self-defense at this point, isn't it? Yes, I think that to kill my husband now, it would just be me protecting myself against future harm. It is absolutely self-defense. Martha does not hear Sam's reply. Martha is deep in thought. To kill him is self-defense. It must be. That's chapter 9. It seems like Martha has reached her limit. Chapter 10. The Rooftop Bar. Norman was too nervous to be tired. Normally, Norman nestled into his bed at 8 o'clock. But tonight, if he's going to solve the mystery behind the invitation in the green room, he's going to have to stay awake later than usual. The invitation reads only, "You're invited. Rooftop bar, 11 p.m. Norman has been staring at it since the dinner hour when he first received it. It is now almost time. Norman had asked a member of the staff how to get to the rooftop bar. Something about the letter suggested to Norman that it would be best not to show it. So even to ask the question made Norman feel as though he were breaking some sort of code. The staff member was very polite but clear. Sir, there is no bar on the rooftop. The rooftop is off limits. Please do not try to go to the rooftop. Do you think it might be a place around town? I can't find it on Google, Norman asks. No, sir. I've never heard of any such place. The staff member does not provide much clarity. Norman asked some of the other speakers at the event. None of them had ever heard of the rooftop bar either. Even some of the veterans who had been speaking at this hotel for several years now had no idea where to find it. The lack of information made Norman even more curious, and all Norman could do was ponder the possibilities. Norman had heard that some people let success go to their heads, and they begin to ignore rules. Rules like, don't go to the rooftop, might only be a suggestion to these kinds of men and women. Maybe this is an eccentric millionaire playing some sort of game. Stranger things could happen. The clock reads 10:29 p.m. Is that too soon to try to find this place? Norman walked to the end of the hall. He finds the doorway that marks the stairwell entrance, and he looks around for any witnesses. A camera in the ceiling gives him a deadpan, unblinking stare as he pushes the door open slowly and disappears into the cavern of echoes that is the stairwell to the roof. There, on the stairway platform for the 5th floor, Norman sees a small pile of cigarette butts that have been put out and discarded in a pile. He listens for the sounds of life or movement, but he hears no one. The sign on the wall marks this floor with a large number 5, and smaller text with arrows shows that the exit is down. Another sign next to that one reads, no rooftop access. If there is no access to the rooftop, then what is the harm in seeing what's at the topmost floor? Norman thinks. Norman ascends the stair. He cannot walk softly enough to keep his climb secret. Every step produces a sound that bounces off the wall in a cacophony. Clunk, clunk, clap, clunk. Each step fills the stairwell with the possibility that Norman will be discovered, and it makes him incredibly nervous. Tiny shivers start to shake in Norman's spine, and he continues his ascension. What would he say if he did get caught? Maybe he could say that he was visiting a friend on the 14th floor. Maybe he could get there and realize that his friend told him that he was going to bed early, and Norman just forgot about this until he arrived. He could take the elevator back down. It's a believable excuse. Truth be told, anyone seeing Norman climb the stairs would not likely ask where he is going, or even care. But Norman knows that he is looking to break a rule, and this makes him paranoid. Now, everyone is a potential witness. Norman reaches a gate at the top without seeing a single soul. A sign on the gate at the top of the stair reads, no entry, rooftop access prohibited. Norman looks at the exit door. What's the worst thing that could happen if I did break a rule? Maybe they kick me out of the hotel. That's not so bad. Norman steps over the gate and presses hesitantly against the long metal bar that releases the door. His tension climaxes. It releases with a click as the door pops open just an inch. Norman looks back over his shoulder to see if anyone is coming. He listens to hear any alarm that might have been triggered. Instead, he sees that the alarm box at the top of the door has been disabled. If I had noticed that before, I could have saved myself a lot of stress. I'll just take a quick peek. Norman pushes open the door. Well, I'll be... Well, it looks like that chapter ends just before we see what Norman has found on the other side of the door. Chapter 11 is called Cocktails and Moonlight, and in Chapter 11, we're going to see the other side of the door. I hope that you'll join us next week as we adventure forward into the mysterious mysteries of the invitation to the rooftop bar. Until then, we have a playlist, and you can watch these videos over and over again as you go to sleep. Good night.